Christians the world over marked Good Friday today. Special masses were held island-wide in celebration of the day. All this and more on tonight's edition of Prime Time News.
Bringing you the very latest from across the nation and around the world. This is your Prime Time News Bulletin. A very good evening. I'm Shane Silva.
I'm Sonali Vanikabatake. We start off with a look at the stories making headlines tonight.
A scroll containing auspicious times of the Sinhala and Tamil New Year presented to the President. Central Bank decides to raise the repurchase rate and the reverse repurchase rate once again. And a crisis over thumb and now at gem tender.
We start off with a look at tonight's local stories. A scroll containing auspicious times of the Sinhala and Tamil New Year was presented to President Mahinda Rajapaksa at Temple Trees today. The scroll contained auspicious times such as the dawn of the New Year, Punya Kalaya, preparing meals, starting work, transactions and partaking of meals, as well as the auspicious time to leave for work. Minister of Cultural and Aesthetic Affairs T.B. Ekanaika was also present at the occasion.
The Monetary Board of the Central Bank has decided to raise the repurchase rate and the reverse repurchase rate once again. Issuing a communique, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka said that the policy rates were increased at a meeting of the Monetary Board yesterday.
In February, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka increased the policy interest rates due to the growth of credit beyond intended targets. Meanwhile, the central bank also ordered commercial banks to restrict credit growth to 23%. However, the Monetary Board of the central bank says that credit growth is continuing at an undesired pace in spite of these measures, resulting in the need for a further increase in policy rates. Accordingly, the Monetary Board arrived at a decision yesterday to increase the repurchase rate and the reverse repurchase rate by 25 and 75 basis points respectively to 7.75 and 9.75% effective from the close of business yesterday. The increase in policy rates is expected to control inflation and credit growth. Bank interest rates are also expected to increase in accordance with the policy rate hike.
Forwarding a letter to the Secretary of the Ministry of Finance and Planning, the Janatha Vimukti Peramuna has requested for an explanation on the effects of the recent vehicle tax revision.
In his letter, JVP parliamentarian Sunil Handunnetti has urged the Secretary to the Ministry of Finance and Planning to explain the details of the vehicle tax revision.
ආණ්ඩුව පහුගියදා හදිසි තීරණයක් හැටියට වාහන ගෙන්වීමේ ගාස්තු මිල 100%කින් ඉහළ නැංගුවා.
The government arrived at a sudden decision recently to raise vehicle import charges by 100%. This tax increase has had a serious impact on the business community and on members of the public who were hoping to buy a vehicle. This problem has been aggravated because the government has not clarified its policy on increasing taxes to the country. When the sudden tax increases came, there were a large number of people who had already paid deposits for new vehicles, who had obtained loans for new vehicles, and people whose vehicles are currently being shipped. There are also those whose vehicles are currently in the port and in the process of being released. Do these taxes affect these people as well, or is it only for vehicles currently on the market? There is a serious issue here. The Secretary to the Ministry of Finance and the government must immediately clarify to the country on what basis these taxes were increased and who will be affected by these taxes. The policy followed by the government in increasing taxes must be clarified. Not only are the people under stress because of the increasing taxes, they are further inconvenienced by the inability to understand the proportion of tax and who is affected by the tax due to the haphazard decision making of the government.
මොන ප්‍රමාණයෙන්ද කාටද කියලා තේරුම් ගන්න බැරුවත් ජනතාව බරපතල අපහසුතාවයකට දුෂ්කරතාවයකට මේ වෙනකොට පත් වෙලා ඉන්නේ.
In the meantime, Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Sajith Premadasa, says that the people's right to own a vehicle has been taken away by the government through the recent tax hike on vehicles.
Deputy leader of the United National Party, Sajid Premadasa, made a financial donation to a mosque in Grand Pass today under the Masjidul Pudu Oli program. Incidentally, this was the 250th phase of the program to assist religious institutions. All of a sudden, the government is saying that the number of vehicles in the country has increased and has imposed taxes to reduce this. The opportunity that the common man had to buy a three-wheeler or a motorbike has been destroyed. I would like to ask as to whether the small man voted for this government by their thousands for the burden of taxes to be placed on their heads.
Today is Bak Full Moon Poya Day. Bak Poya has great significance to Sri Lankans.
Bak Poya Day marks Lord Buddha's second visit to Sri Lanka and also heralds a month of national importance. According to the Mahavamsa, Lord Buddha could foresee an imminent war between two Naga kings, Chulodhara and Mahodhara, over a jewel-studded throne that made him visit Sri Lanka for the second time and preached his doctrine to Chulodhara and Mahodhara after arriving in Nagadeepa. Buddhists across the island engaged in religious activities in view of Bak Full Moon Poya Day. Lord Buddha arrived in the island for a second time as a peacemaker. He brought about peace between two warring Naga kings named Chulodhara and Mahodhara. He ensured peace in the island. This event is of great importance to us today because attempts are being made to disgrace our country internationally. That is why the message conveyed by Lord Buddha on Bak Full Moon Poya Day is important to us today. It is up to us to take responsible decisions at a time like this. When Lord Buddha visited this land on Bak Poya, he explained matters to both parties and brought about peace in the country. This is what we ought to do even today. This is the reason why Bak Full Moon Poya Day is of great significance to all Sri Lankans.
In related news, Christians in Sri Lanka observe Good Friday today.
The Christian community around the world commemorates the crucifixion of Jesus Christ in Calvary today. Christians believe that Jesus, the Son of God, sacrificed his life to bring salvation to all mankind. Special masses were conducted in churches island-wide with special emphasis on the way of the cross, which is a reenactment of Christ's passion. A special Good Friday Mass was held at St. Lucia's Cathedral in Kotahena this afternoon. The Mass was conducted by the Archbishop of Colombo, Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit. An individual who has not gone through any suffering and sadness cannot understand another individual because he has become a selfish individual. He has become a loner. Christian devotees in Jaffna also observed Good Friday today. Meanwhile, devotees at St. Sebastian's Church in Chilau enacted the way of the cross to mark Good Friday.
Well, the tender for the sale of gemstones that had been discovered in Thammannawa, Katharagama by 54 families residing there has been nullified. This decision has been reached after area residents charged that the gemstones had not been valued properly. Despite these issues, there seems to be no end to the gem rush which commenced in February.
On the 13th of February, rumours spread that gemstones had been discovered in the soil that was excavated for the reconstruction of the road from Lunugam-Wehere to Katharagama via Thammannawa. With this rumour spreading like wildfire, area residents and businessmen flocked to the location in their thousands in search of the gemstones. With the number of gem prospectors swelling, police had to be deployed to beef up security in the area on the instructions of the Defence Secretary. On the 18th of February, the Katharagama police announced that the area surrounding the gem mine in Thammannawa and the road from Katharagama to Lunugam-Wehere had been declared a prohibited zone. On the same day, the Department of Government Information announced that the land would be auctioned off on the 24th of February in a manner which would enable the optimum number of persons to mine for gems. The land, which was then divided into plots, was auctioned off for a total sum of over 270 million rupees on the 24th of February. The National Gem and Jewellery Authority also allocated several plots of the land for area residents with the intention of enabling them to receive an equitable share of the gems. The assistance of 3 businessmen was also secured to invest funds in the venture under the Gem and Jewellery Authority's regulatory system. The gemstones which were discovered from the soil excavated for the road and stones discovered on the plots of land which had been allocated for the 54 families in the area were placed in the custody of the National Gem and Jewellery Authority. Yesterday, tenders were called for the sale of these gems at the auditorium of the Kathragama Pradeshya Sabha. Of the 12 buyers that were present at the auditorium, only one presented a tender for the gemstones. He had valued the gems at 400,000 rupees. Area residents who charged that the gems had not been valued in accordance with the standards of the National Gem and Jewellery Authority expressed these views to News First. I reject that claim. The Divisional Secretary of Kathragama is in charge of proceedings. We called tenders for the gems before the Sinhala and Tamil New Year because he made a request from us to provide these poor families with a source of income by auctioning the gems. What we want to do was wash all the soil and auction all the gems together. If there are any buyers willing to spend over 9 million to purchase these gems, we are ready to sell them at any time. We do not seek a profit. What we wish to do is provide these poor families with some money for the new year.
ගෙදරකට ගිහිල්ලා බැලුවොත් ආහාර කිලෝ එක කන්න නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ මිනිහෙක් මේ බීමල් ලෝකත් හම්බ කරගන්න වැඩකට ගියේ නැහැ කිසිම කෙනෙක්.